I earned my first digital dollar January 2011, back in Obama's first term in office. It was a $25 affiliate commission from HostGator. I got involved with the Warrior Forum after reading the 4-Hour Workbook by Tim Ferriss. And I jumped on the Warrior Forum, which was a forum for internet marketers. And it's still around, it's changed drastically. But I owe that forum a lot of credit because that's where I got started. And I bought ebook after ebook in 2010, started implementing some of the stuff, ended up starting launching, I would write articles, blog posts. Back then they were called e-zine articles. And then I would attach an affiliate link in there. And I bought an ebook in September of 2010, and it was how to give away free websites and earn hosting commissions. So I thought, awesome. So I wrote a couple of e-zine articles, probably 2 or 3 of them, in September of 2010. And I wasn't a millionaire in 2 weeks. So I said, screw this, I'm gonna move to something else. And so I jumped to another shiny object. And then in January, 4 or 5 months later, one of those e-zine articles generated an affiliate sale and I earned 25 bucks. And I thought, no shit, from doing the work back in September, when I say work, I mean like 2 or 3 articles, I earned $25, 5 months later, And of course I thought to myself, man, what would have happened if I would have just stuck with that in September and I started I started writing 2 to 3 articles a week, maybe 2 to 3 articles a day, for September, October, November, December, January, and that compound effect. Of course, that didn't happen. I quit too early, which I did dozens and dozens of times over the last decade plus. So I give you that backstory to tell you, I've been at this a long time. I've done a lot of things online. I've never done an MLM, and I'm very proud of that. But I've done a lot of things online. I won't get into all of them in this video, I'll talk about them. But my point is, I do have a lot of experience in failures, a lot of doing the wrong things, a lot of giving up way too fucking soon, like I just explained. Me giving up on those e-zine articles was foreshadowing my career as an internet marketer, of giving up way too soon, of buying a domain name one day, getting all excited, and then 48 to 72 hours later going, yeah, I don't really like this idea. Throwing in the towel 3 days into it. So anyways, I came up with this thing, and I didn't come up with it, and I'll explain it. I came up with the acronym, and I call it the M.O.M method. And this will simplify things. I don't care what, this applies to any business, online or offline, it does not matter. These are marketing principles. These are foundations that have been around for 4, 5, 6, 7 decades. So here's the acronym, M.O.M. So it's very easy for all of us to remember. And these are the 3 things you should focus on. These are the 3 things that move the needle. These are the 3 things that you have 100% control over. A lot of people chase tactics. Tactics are sexy. Tactics are flashy. Tactics do work, but they don't last long, depending on how many people are using the tactics. These 3 are foundational pieces that have worked for decades and decades, and they'll work in decades from now. M is your market. So M.O.M is the acronym. M is your market. That's your audience, your tribe, your community, your people, target market, whatever you want to call it. I refer to it as a market. It's my audience though. But I like referring it to as a market. Call it what you want, but essentially it's the same thing. That is who you're helping. That is who you're serving. That is who you're guiding, leading, teaching, motivating, inspiring. Fill in the blank. That's the who. The next acronym, or the next letter is O. This is your offer. This is your offer. This is how you make money. Your offer is a solution to the person's problem, to your market's problem. What problem, I should go back to M for market. What problem are you solving? Find a specific problem for a specific person. And another thing I say often, and I can't repeat it enough, find a problem you enjoy solving for a group of people you enjoy solving it for. Not because it's popular, not because it's trending, not because every Tom, Dick, and Harry's doing it. Find something you actually enjoy. You don't have to be wildly passionate about it, but having a strong interest and or curiosity in it is going to really, really help push through those tough days, weeks, months. Yes, you will have tough days, weeks, and months. I know the greedy gurus here on YouTube aren't going to share that part, but that's the fucking truth. You will. And if you're doing something something you enjoy or have an interest in or are very curious about, it will help you push through those times. So again, that's the M part, the market. The offer is the solution to that problem. It could be a $5 ebook. I talk about PDFs on this channel often. It could be a $10,000 coaching program or anything in between. But you need to solve a specific problem for a specific person and package that up into an offer. I'll link up in the upper right-hand corner my SMART offer framework. I did a video on that last Tuesday or Wednesday. It's really, really important that you watch that. I see so many offers in my feed, and then people reach out in the DMs and they're like, Adam, my shit's not selling. I put it out, blah, blah, blah. And some of the people have a big audience and it's not selling. And again, my SMART offer framework should help with that as long as you follow along. So check that out. But this is your offer. This is a solution to the person's problem. That's it. That is what an offer is. And then the next M is your message. And I argue that this is the most important part of building a personal brand, building a brand online, is your message. I've seen shitty offers sell because of good messaging. You can mask a shitty offer if you have good messaging. So this is how you put out content. And I talked about that last week, I think, as well. I'll link it up here, my 4 Ps for creating content. Watch that one. It's all about messaging. Messaging is it's in-depth. It doesn't happen overnight, and you develop it over time. And I get a lot of people that come to me and they're like, will you help me with my messaging? Because once you get in this space for a little while, you learn that messaging is the secret. So sharing your unique perspectives is a big one, and your opinions and thoughts and beliefs, and defending those and having conviction. People love people with conviction, because most people online, or most people in real life in general, have spaghetti spines. They wilt under pressure. You push back and they're like, oh yeah, that's right. So if you can defend your stance on whatever it is, whatever topic it is, and having that opinion. And I talk about this, like there's 5 polarizing topics, and I don't care what niche you're in. You can speak on all 5 of these if you prefer. It's completely up to you, even if it's outside your niche, because it shows who you are. It shows what you believe in. It shows you have beliefs. It shows you have convictions. So number 1 is money. Number 2 is sex. Number 2 is religion. Number 3 is parenting. And number 4 is, I'm forgetting it. Politics. So those are the 5 topics that people are very opinionated on. And if you have a stance on any one of those things, and you can stand up and share why you believe that, like I talk about parenting, it has nothing to do with what I sell, but I share my beliefs around parenting. And I always get pushback. People always say, you're an idiot. That's fine. They just don't buy into that belief. On the flip side of that, I have a lot of people saying, oh my gosh, that's how I feel. Oh my gosh, you said the hard part out loud. Oh my gosh, you said the part that's in my head. The part that I'm afraid to say out loud. So one of the things I talk about is a kid. I don't even want to get into it here, but I'll share an example. In my opinion, a child has a better chance of success and love, with a mom and dad in the same home. That's just my opinion, and people will bitch and moan about it. What if he's an asshole? What if she cheated? All this stuff. This is just my opinion, and so sometimes I will share that, even though it has nothing to do with business, and I'll share why I believe that based on my life and my perspectives and the things that I've lived through. So, I don't really talk politics because I don't know shit about politics. I'm very ignorant with politics, and I'm somewhat proud of that, somewhat ashamed of that too. I just don't get into it. I don't really care. I can't control that, so I don't fuck with it. But there's other things that you can talk about, and sharing your perspectives and how you view life and all the things. It shows you who you are. And I say it often, people buy who you are much more than they buy what you sell. People buy who you are much more than they buy what you sell. I have people over on Threads. They're like, I unfollowed you a couple weeks ago because you can be an asshole. I unfollowed you a month ago because you're an asshole, you're mean, you're too brash, you're too direct, because I don't fluffy bunny bullshit. I will call it out, and some people don't like that. And I have probably 5 testimonials from people saying, I unfollowed you but I bought Threads Unleashed because you do know what you're talking about, you know? So they don't like me, but they do respect me and they're customers of mine. That's what I'm talking about. Draw a line in the sand. Here's another example I heard from an entrepreneur friend. She had a business coach, and the business coach said, picture like in a backyard. You're at a dinner party, a barbecue, and there's two houses, and there's a fence between the house. On one side of the party is the people who agree with you. They're fans of yours. They agree with you. You know, they're like, yes, I agree with what you're saying. And then on the other side of the fence are people that don't agree with you. Not that they don't like you or hate you or anything. They just don't agree with you. And the business coach said, either side is fine. What you do not want is people on the fence. You don't want people in the middle. Get them on this side or get them on that side, but not in the middle. I don't care if you're on this side. If you're on the side that doesn't agree with me or like me, or I'm too brash or too direct or I swear too much, whatever. I don't care if you're on that side. That's totally fine. And I don't care if you're on this side. That's totally fine. I just don't want you in the middle. You know, and so I heard that analogy. She shared it on Facebook a couple years ago from a business coach, and I thought that was a really, really good one. So when creating content, try to think of that. You don't want people on the fence. You want people picking a side. You know, and of course, I'll have people say on social media, they're like, I don't agree with you here. And I'm like, well, good. I'm glad you don't agree with me. You shouldn't agree with me on everything. There's things that I say or do or put into practice, and you've got to say, I don't agree with that, Adam. Well, good. You probably shouldn't. You probably just agree with me, or, you know, agree with me more than you don't agree with me. And, you know, a lot of the people online, a lot of the people like in show business, Stephen A. Smith is an example I bring up all the time. Shannon Sharpe is another one. Those are two big sports personalities, you know, from ESPN. I don't know if Shannon Sharpe still works there anymore after the stuff, but Stephen A. Smith is a great example. That dude is so opinionated. He is so opinionated. He gets attention. He gets people's attention, whether you like him or not. I don't agree with everything he says, but I got a ton of respect for him. And you know where he stands on certain issues. He's not wishy-washy. He'll tell you what he feels, you know, and he gets paid. I think he's one of the best, highest paid people over at ESPN because he's opinionated. He gets attention. You know, now I'm not saying you have to be Stephen A. Smith, but people appreciate that. People love people that have conviction in their beliefs. Conviction in your beliefs, you know. So anyways, that's the M.O.M method. I don't want to go too long. Market, offer, message. Market, offer, message. Like I said, these three things move the needle. I got a lot of people screwing around with tactics. What time to post on Instagram, or what hook, or should I post 2 times a week, or should I post 3 times a week? Should I use Snapchat over TikTok, or should I use TikTok over Twitter, or Twitter over Threads, or Threads over LinkedIn? I mean, fill in the blank. These people waste so much time on that shit. Honestly, all of that shit doesn't really matter. It can move the needle a little bit, yes. But if you really want to move the needle, get crystal clear on your market, which is your who. Get crystal clear on your offer, which is the what you're going to help them with, and the how, I guess I should say. And then get crystal clear on your message. So market, offer, message. Market, offer, message. And it takes time to fine tune all of that. It's not like it's a weekend exercise. You know, a lot of it, you know, a lot of it comes around to putting out content and developing a message over time. You know, you're probably not going to do it, like I said, in a weekend, but putting out content and trying different things and getting feedback. I'm trying some things right now over on Threads, actually today and last night. You know, I'm trying to come up with this. I'll get into that in a couple of weeks, but I'm coming up with this identity, I call it the simple creator, you know, and I want my audience to aspire. They want to be a simple creator. And we have like these 8 to 15 different principles that we live by. And so I'm starting to throw out some of those ideas, some of those principles, and just see if they catch on. If they start catching on, I start using them more. So that's how I do it. I'll do more videos on like kind of how I do my messaging and stuff like that. But anyways, to keep it simple, market, offer, message, the M.O.M method, an acronym all of us can remember. Anyways, if you have comments, questions, concerns about earning a living, selling PDFs, drop them down below. I do daily videos here on the YouTubes, Monday through Friday, where I just kind of pick a topic and I just ramble on it while I walk around the block in this 90 so degree heat or anything like that. Also, make sure you hit subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.